Hi again, Leo. Same day, different task. So that's the um, wood bolt. Actually, it's a wood screw that we talked about earlier that needed to be replaced. So I found one that hopefully will work. It looks pretty close to the right depth and pretty close to the right circumference. So, thing about this is we had a couple, lots of little coffee cans and stuff like that full of old nails and bolts. And in trying to take care of your great Uncle Jim's estate and your great Grandma Marge's estate, which happened kind of like the same time, all of those things. It was a lot of sorting, and grief does funny things, you know. So I started sorting my stuff too, and I sorted old screws and nails and bolts out of all of those buckets, good and bad, and put them in different containers. And so what didn't take me long to find this. Let's just say that. Um, it's the workaholic in me, you know. Your grandpa, great grandpa Leo, he was a workaholic. Um, God rest his soul. Sometimes um, you don't deal with feelings, and not everybody deals with feelings the same way. But um, when your grandpa was frustrated or upset or sad, he would disappear into his work and disappear into his own mind. And he was a thinker, always thinking. And unfortunately, I do the same thing. Okay, so here we're talking about um, thinking ahead instead of. So when I put this in the screw, the chuck, this chuck tightener actually leans right against this dowel, and I don't want that to happen. So let's try taking the extension off and just using the bit, because we don't want, the less damage we do, I do, not we, I don't have a mouse in my pocket. The less damage I do, the better. Okay, so this part spins, this part does not, and now this part is sitting against this dowel, and that's okay. So, ooh, it's at an angle, of course. Isn't that fun? Oh, it's at an angle where you don't need it to be at an angle. And we're going to go slow because it's at an angle. The screw bit keeps slipping out of the old wood screw. We're going to use a little bit of gravity here. So that means I gotta stand on the stool, put my weight on it, because we want that to be tight against the arm. We want it to hold that arm in place. Oh, please don't do that. I don't know if I'm strong enough to tighten that down the way it needs to be. Out. Good God. don't think I'm gonna get that any tighter. I hope so. Maybe Kevin can come in and give it a good wrench, because he's got nice, strong hands like you have strong hands. You know, do what you can and ask for help for the rest. Anyway, yes, your Grandpa Leo was a workaholic. I don't know if your Grandma Noel told you, but your grandpa was such a workaholic. Not only did he have the locker plant, but he was always trying to open up another business. Like he actually had time or something. Oh, he had a sign business. He tried a few other things. He just spread himself too thin instead of concentrating on family. He did a lot of community service groups because our town is not um, incorporated, which means that there's not a dedicated committee to do different things. There's committees for, like, the volunteer fire department has a committee, and the volunteer ambulance has a committee, and the sewer board has a committee, and the hospital board has a committee, and they used to have committees for everything. Anyway, your grandpa belonged to all those committees and communities. He was a volunteer fireman. He was on the committee. He was on the volunteer ambulance, and he was on the committee. He was on the sewer board and the county hospital board. So he got an award probably 12 years before he died that was given to him by the county, and it was for 45 years of community service. That's how much of a workaholic your Grandpa Leo was. But it took a toll. It really did. Your Grandma Noel, being that she's older than me, she got to have some time with Grandpa Leo that I did not get to have. See, the only time I got to spend time with Grandpa Leo was at breakfast, and if I went to work at the locker. And I think that your Grandma Noel got to do some of the fun things that families get to do. Go fishing and water skiing. I have a video of when your great grandma was probably, I'm guessing, about 8, and that was before I was even thought of. So in the video was your great uncle Duran and your grandma Noel and your great uncle Jim at Fort Peck, and Grandpa Leo in not a Speedo, but those old-fashioned swim trunks. They kind of fit tight to men's legs, but they look like boxers. And your great grandma Marge, my mom, and your Noel's mom, and Jim and Duran's mom was taking the video, and they got to go water skiing. I got to go on one boat float with the American Legion and your Grandpa Leo, and that was hard because I had to share him. And yeah, I know Noel shared Le- Grandpa with Duran and Jim, but I had to share him with my stepsister and my stepmother. And sometimes you don't want to say things or ask questions that they would find weird or upsetting. Um, anyway, this has been 10 or 11 minutes. I know these stream of thought stories and non scripted, like I said before, they seem boring, but the truth is that this is real human interaction. Stream of thought is real, it's not scripted. And it means you don't have to be perfect, and you can interrupt, and you can ask dumb questions, which I would love. It means you get to see the mistakes that I make, and if I fix them and if I don't. Um, you get to see me get distracted, a little ADD, which honestly, I'm going to tell you this. ADD is evolutionarily correct. This whole focus on one thing, saying that teachers really want you to do, it's not what we did as a species in our early evolution. Now, even if you think that um, human beings came out fully formed as we are, not evolution, but God created, which I believe both. God created us as a basic species so that we could grow into what He needed us to be. Some people don't believe that. If you're one of those, that's okay. But let's just say that we'll imagine us as Adam and Eve. Not you and me, but people. Adam and Eve get ejected from the Garden of Paradise and they go out into the real world. And in the real world, what is there? There's wolves and lions and jackals and snakes and scorpions, and we have to find food, so we need to see where the berries are, and we need to use our ears to find fresh water. So we're walking across the desert, the plains, whatever it was at that time, and our attention is on all of these things around us. So it's a little ADD. We're like, oh, there's a bug. There's a scorpion. Okay, it's far enough away. It's not chasing us. It's running away. Oh, I hear water moving. Okay, come on, Eve. Let's go this way towards water. We need water. And on the way, we're going to look for berries and roots to eat. That's ADD, right? They're not focused on just heading towards water. They're doing a lot of other activities with that very, very intricate, complicated brain. And so ADD, no matter what anybody tells you, it's natural. It is natural. We have one focus, but then we have all these little sub focuses that we're working on. Yeah, I get a little excited sometimes. I'm done with this because it's at 15 minutes and you're probably bored silly. But, let me know if you want to hear more about Grandpa Leo and his community, or Grandpa Leo and his thoughts on politics, or what kind of music he liked. Let me know. I'll tell you.